Where do you come from? Where you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep 'em flowing. Where do you come from? Where you going? What are you feeling tonight? And what are you showing? Where do you come from? 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 Where you going? What are you drinking tonight? Let's keep 'em flowing.
And we are live. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. You are live with the Super PlayStation Bros coming at you. Hopefully, everything's doing well. I'm joined, as always, by Dorgon, bringing the trophies in. How are you doing, good sir? Hopefully, everything is doing fantastic. It's good to be here on this frigid morning for me. Oh my gosh.
It's a fresh morning here. It's nothing like you guys. We had that about 3 weeks ago. Those sort of minus 15, minus 16 degrees Celsius. But we're over freezing at the moment, so it's copable. But I imagine you're wrapped up, or should be wrapped up very warm. But knowing you, you're there in just a t-shirt and a bandana, as you always are, because that's how you roll.
Oh yeah, well I got the heat on. And I've got like this blanket that I'm just like staying extra warm, so don't worry.
Yeah, I know
I
that.
know
I've
I
got
need
a
my arms,
heated
I couldn't
vest.
find a sweater. Yeah, Hannah, I couldn't find a sweater this morning. All right, it was a rushed morning. But hopefully everybody's doing well. We're here to give you everything PlayStation that's been going on this week. We're coming at you on a Wednesday because I missed the Monday. Tons of stuff going on in my life with construction and housing and beams and all that. But Dorgon, what have you been up to this week? What's been going on? Any time in the busy schedule to turn on some PlayStation?
Oh yeah. There's been time for PlayStation. I actually played the demo that we spoke about last week, that Kazan, the Last Berserker, and really didn't gel with it. It's that stereotypical Soulsborne experience, which means combat you have to lock on, or it just does not work. And I hate this lock on melee combat. I love the freedom to be able to move from one enemy to another and just actually have some freedom and free flow in my combat, which just does not happen in Soulsborne titles. So it's not ticking my boxes. I'm not impressed with it, but I can tell it's a good game for those who like such a build. It's got that sort of Neo feel to it rather than, say, Bloodborne or Elden Ring. So I've had a bit of time with that and wasted a bit of time with that, in my personal opinion. I've also jumped onto Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League because that was included with PS Plus Premium this month, and I've been rather enjoying it thus far. I'm not a huge amount of distance into the game, so I do want to just preface that and say, like, I am not like 10, 20 hours in and feeling any of the fatigue that has been mentioned in other reviews and stuff like that. But what I've played so far in the first couple of hours, I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying the story. I'm enjoying the gameplay. I don't think it deserves, thus far, thoughts could change, but thus far, I don't think it deserves all the hatred that it got when it launched back in 2024.
Well, that's good. Taking advantage of PS Plus. Love to hear it. I actually got into Justice League as well. And it wasn't well, okay, first of all, I did beat it. So I got all the way to the end. I got the gold trophy. But the end mechanics, and I won't get into anything, I don't want to spoil it to you, but just it just seemed very like they gave you 5 tasks in this city, and it was just repeat those 5 tasks. And the fun was in a lot of like changing up different characters, being different guys, but I just found myself being Deadshot most of the time. That sniper rifle did unbelievable damage. But I did beat it, so there is that to be said about it. But after that, I put it away. And the first Berserker Kazan, I did play through it. What I didn't like was the loot management. It was just so many choices. I got decision fatigued. It was like green items and blue items, and I don't want that in my experience. It becomes a management game on top of combat focus. So I'm not. It
Yeah,
brings in more of the MMO aspect of it, where you're sort of max minning your stats, and there is a place for that in games. People like doing that, pulling out the math, the spreadsheets, but just not my thing. Maybe I'll give it another chance because I did only play it in the open beta. I haven't downloaded the newest demo. But I did try AI Limit. It seemed kind of early. I liked the art style. I took down this vile beast. I had a glitch where it switched the languages on me, like midway through the game, and it was in Chinese. And then I couldn't figure out how to switch it back from Chinese. And I was like taking pictures with Gemini, and I'm like, translate this for me. But hey, and what's going on, everybody in chat? Thanks for coming out, hanging out with us, talking PlayStation. All of these games definitely give a try out. PS Plus has got a deep catalog, and there's some demos out there, so definitely worth it. The other one I did try, Empire of Ants, all right, aka Wilson's Kitchen. The Ray joke that has echoed through my mind. First of all, stunning graphics, looks beautiful. You want that RTS experience? It's actually really fun. You command these different types of ants over type of hills and fields, terrains. And the game looks stunning. The termites, you're always attacking the termites. I really enjoyed it, getting into an RTS kind of feel. So tons of games out there if you want to give a try. Explore some demos because I've been doing that recently.
it's funny you should mention real time strategy. I completely different platform and going way off base here, but I recently broke out my disc of Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle Earth because you can't buy it anywhere anymore. It's not available for purchase on any of the digital storefronts. So I broke out my disc. I got an external disc drive. I installed it on my Asus ROG Ally, and I have been playing and absolutely adoring the real-time strategy of Battle for Middle Earth once more. What a great game that was back in 2000, and I think it was 2005. I bought it down in Australia. So still having the disc and being able to install and play that, huge win for physical media for me on that one. But I've been really enjoying the RTS once more. It's one of those genres I don't think gets enough love, and when it does, too many come at once, so you can't give them the time of day and attention that they deserve. But that's one of my all-time favorites. It's nice to hear that the Ants one is that kind of thing as well. So I may have to give that a try over the next week.
Yeah, it's actually called Empire of Ants. Empire of Ants. But yes, we are going to get into your morning message to me, SPG. But this is our panel chat. So let's move into the newsroom and get chatting into everything that's going on. Oh, look at that transition. It's so seamless. All right, let's get into the news that's going on this week. Obviously, there was a drop of a recent game which has got me on the hype train. And let's just play it here in the background while we talk. So, Phantom Blade Zero, Year of the Snake, they released a boss fight situation. This game is created by S Game, which I believe is a hero project funded by PlayStation. And this game is an action focused, combat focused, gives you that Souls aspect, but I'm being told it's not a Souls game. It's more of a Devil May Cry combat, sort of a near experience. But I feel like very Souls when I watch this. The graphics stunning. Unreal Engine takes a front row seat in bringing some great cinematics here. I just got hyped watching this. I love combat focused games, and this boss seemed out of this world. To have a hive mind working on 7 humanoids at the exact same time in unison in their combat is something I don't think I've ever seen in a game before. So I'm pumped. I think they're going to bring some awesome stuff to the game.
Yeah,
What did you
this is one
think?
of
What
those
was
games.
yeah?
The more and more you see of it, the more and more you get enticed. It's giving me reminders of how I felt about Ghost of Tsushima when it first came out. Initially, I really didn't care about Ghost of Tsushima because I wasn't getting a new Infamous game from Sucker Punch, and the setting didn't entice me. That the whole idea of what was going on didn't entice me. But the more and more I saw about it, the more and more I heard about it, the more and more I got enticed by it and pulled in and wanted to be part of that experience. Phantom Blade Zero is very much giving me that sort of feeling as well of not enticed, not enthralled initially, but the more and more you see on it, the more and more it drags you in, it pulls you in. This is quickly shooting to the top of my keep an eye on most wanted lists because I think this is going to be a very special game if it continues in the vein that we're seeing now.
I mean, I'm a huge fan for the combat focused, the bosses that surprise and shock you. So I'm all here for it. I've had this game on my radar since the very first sort of release. However, my aspect is I don't think we're gonna get it this year. I'm very scared. Like I want it this year, no doubt about it. But I just have. Is it the year of the snake right now? You know?
It is. So if they don't release a game called Year of the Snake in the Year of the Snake, they're missing a bit of a trick.
You're right. You're right. You know what? I just had a realization on this panel here. This game is coming out this year. So huzzah, huzzah! This is gonna be a win for me. It's definitely something cool. If you haven't seen it already, they did release this entire boss clip. If you want to give it a check out on your own time, break it down. I'm sure there'll be a ton of videos just breaking down, every single move, aspect, when he switches weapons, how that works. To me, when I was watching the video, I'm like, this must be an expert player because they are taking literally not a single hit of damage. You never see their health bar move the entire battle because it's just constant perfect block, perfect parry. So this move very, very reminiscent of Elden Ring, but I've seen that from a lot of games as well. But I just loved the larger, the puppeteering, everything about this has got me on the hype train. I don't want to just gush over this anymore, but I'm looking forward to it, and I think we'll keep you updated on every announcement coming from this one.
100%, yeah. It just looks so much fun. There's so many influences. I'm here for it. I hope it absolutely delivers on the promises that it's putting out there.
It's gonna be a hand cramping experience. That is for sure. No truer words have been said, SPG. Well, definitely give this one a check out. And I'll just give a short thing over here. When they showed off the weapons, I thought this was really cool. The soft snake sword, which, always in my mind I knew existed, but I was like, oh wow, that is such a cool weapon to bring into, like a soft sword and a snake sword, especially for the Year of the Snake. So really cool stuff. Can't wait to get into it. Phantom Blade Zero. Happy Year of the Snake. All right, let's get into the news. Now, speaking about never seen before, did you catch any of the XP PlayStation tournament over the
I didn't
weekend?
catch any of the tournament. No, I tend not to tune into too many esports because they make me feel very inferior. It's like
You know,
I used to play a lot of cricket, and then I watch cricket on TV, and it's like, oh, this why do I even try, sort of thing. It's the same sort of idea.
So interesting enough, I was watching this and I'm like, you know what? Dorgon would be able to compete here. Look at this speed run right here. This is a speed run of this level. They are not going optimal routes at all. And you know what? I've met Vicstar. I have a picture with him, funny enough. So it's funny that I just clicked onto this spot randomly. But dude, I was like, you're not even that good. Why are you there? I don't, but some of them were obviously a lot better than others, and that they rose to the
Yeah.
top quickly. But still, I'm saying you'd still compete out here, bro. You'd still compete.
I could make second round probably. Looking at some of the footage that's come out from it, I could definitely make second round.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool that it's Astrobot. I love that it's more accessible in that way, and they are going to have more tournaments with it. Some are going to be more remote, run through the PlayStation 5 ecosystem itself. Some are going to be more in-person events like this, which really lends credence to previous news articles we've looked at where we're saying that, oh yeah, Astro is going to be supported through the whole of 2025. It really does lend some credence to such a situation. But there's one thing that I'm assuming, going to touch on next that has not been seen before.
Right, so we have the footage of it right here. This is the final round. So PlayStation had a little bit of a surprise, which beyond epic for PlayStation to do this. They released a brand new speedrun level called Hidden Forest, if I have that name correctly. And this was unveiled at the XP tournament. So kind of cool because none of these players had prior experience to this. So it was going to be brand new for them, which I think is really cool. And the guy playing right now, I was watching him, he was getting unbelievable times. Like he was getting world record times on some of these. So he was definitely there to compete, and it was great to see, you know, PlayStation really take these tournaments seriously and unveil a brand new speedrun level. So we're going to get access to this hopefully in the near future. I definitely see an Easter sort of drop of content, or perhaps, you know, February with a hidden showcase possibly coming up. They could drop Astrobot and now a new speedrun available to play now. So definitely could see all of that happening. Did you get a chance to check out the map, get some tips?
Yeah, I've had a few views of it, seen some of their trial runs, some of their success runs, and it's one of those that once you nail it, it's going to be really satisfying. But it's going to be one of those that if you miss by even a millimeter, you are going to be so annoyed because there's just so many little things that can go wrong, and it's going to be similar to like the master challenge from the base game of you've got to be perfect on the run for it to work. I can see a lot of time getting sunk into this one.
I am just happy that I don't have that frickin' monkey hands, okay? I don't like doing this in a speed run, all right? I need to figure out a better way to do that because I still haven't got those last two bots, and it's just like, because I don't want to do like I don't know. It's just,
Yeah,
it's not in me.
I'm exactly the same. I can't get it up. I'm wondering if there's a way that I can get it with the DualSense Edge to have the back paddles be the climbing hands. I don't think there is, or it might come in accessibility or something. But
Yeah.
very similar to yourself. I have not completed that level because it is just, I've not even got through it. It's not a case of I've done it really slowly. I haven't even got through it. I just can't get the damn monkey to climb. So yeah, very similar feeling there, mate.
I got through it, but at a embarrassing time. So
Well, you're doing better than me then, eh?
Cool to see that PlayStation really supported their community events, dropping a brand new speed level. I love to see it. If you're a big fan of Tekken as well, they had a lot of Tekken at the tournament. Hey, if you're interested and it's in your neighborhood, you know, don't shy out. Go out there and compete because it is accessible to you. I watched the gameplay. You're all gamers out there. Go out and try. You know, have some fun. That's what it's about. Hey, what's up, Xbox International Podcast? Getting some revenge. Oh, well, you came to the right show. This is the PlayStation show. And we were just talking PlayStation XP. So, awesome little event from London where they unveiled a new speed run from Astrobot. Well, let's jump into the $100 cost of video games over the edge here. So, Dorgon, you don't believe that GTA is going to cost $100, do you?
I don't.
It's too much.
I don't want to believe it. However, the realist in me says it's going to happen. If the figures that we have been told that have gone into this game are actually real, so if we're talking like $500 million, $1 billion that have gone into GTA 6, they are going to want to make their money back. Now, they can do that with GTA Online. We've seen that with Grand Theft Auto 5 because that has been the one game they've had since PlayStation 3. It's gone through PlayStation 4. It's now on PlayStation 5. And they've had the online making money through that entire period. But I see Rockstar with the reputation they've got, and bear in mind, people do forget about launch reputations. Things like Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 5 sucked on launch. They had to patch them, they had to work on them after launch to have them be the experience that people remember them as being now. What you experienced recently going through the story and everything on GTA 5 wasn't the launch experience. It was a drastically different world. But I kind of see Rockstar being Apple in this scenario. Everybody said a £1,000 mobile phone was never going to happen, yet I'm sat here with this thing which cost me £1,500. And we've got the same in different areas. We've got movie tickets that are pushing like 50 quid in some places, and they're selling it on the experience, but you've still got to come up with that cost of entry at some point. If Rockstar do want to sell the base version, because that's what we're talking about here, not like some collector's edition or some digital deluxe edition or something. It's the base version of GTA 6. If they want to sell that at $100, bear in mind you guys have to pay taxes atop that there afterwards. So you talking $120, maybe even more for a singular game with nothing additional added. It's going to be a dam break moment because people will go and buy it because people are wanting this game so much. There are people who have only played Grand Theft Auto 5 for the past 3 generations of home console, and they are going to want the new one. It's going to be the biggest moment in their history, so they are going to spend the money on it. And if they do that, it's going to open the floodgates for people like Ubisoft, for people like EA, for people like Sony and Nintendo to go, hey, if you're happy to pay $100 for that, why not pay $100 for ours as well? And I don't want that to happen because it will wholeheartedly diminish the amount of game time that I actually have available to me, because I won't be able to afford the games that are coming, because it will be £100 that they sell for over here, which is more than 2 days' wage on the national minimum wage. So, yeah, this Rockstar need to tread carefully here. They have the ability to charge $100 for this game, and they could get away with it, and people will pay it. But they have a responsibility to the player and the rest of the market to do this right and not charge $100 for this game.
I know, but it's inevitable, right? They're gonna justify it by saying we have the main story and we're giving you multiplayer, and now that's justification to give you the full price game and an extra 40 on top for multiplayer. And it's just unfair because I remember a time when video games used to come with multiplayer, single player, and a special mode. And nowadays, you're lucky if a game gets 2 of those modes. Most of the time, it's just one of those modes. And we've kind of lost the value of games, and the price keeps shooting up astronomically. And if we're paying $100 because of ray tracing, I'm gonna be more upset because I don't care about the light that much. I want the gameplay. So I guess we'll see what happens here in the future. This is obviously more speculation station, so take it with a grain of salt. We're going to see what happens. Jem is saying here in the chat, Rockstar isn't responsible for other companies. Let other companies charge $100 and let them fail. Jem is right. like they could literally charge the same amount as a console, and you'd have people going out there and buying it. But I definitely see them pushing this $100 border, and I think Rockstar has the demand to say they should. Ray is also pointing out that he paid 6,000 pesos to watch a donkey show in Mexico. So, Ray, we got to talk about that. I'm sure you got some footage.
I have no idea what 6,000 pesos is.
100 USD. 100 USD.
Oh, 100 USD.
That's what I'm learning in the
cool.
chat there from
So,
Xbox
85
International
quid.
Podcast.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I know
yeah,
you won't buy it because you're not a big GTA fan. I get it. I heard your opinions when I was playing the new one, but I grew up on GTA. I'll be there day one. So through the mess that it probably will be. Fingers crossed it won't be. But yeah, looks forward to it.
Maybe wait 6 months. You'll get two big bonuses then.
Can't.
One, they'll have fixed the buggy launch, and two, it'll come down in price. Or you can get it on the second-hand market for a lot cheaper. So yeah, maybe wait 6 months on GTA 6 so that it's actually a good game.
FOMO is too great. I will be there day
Dude,
one.
you waited like 15 years on GTA 5. Come on.
No, GTA 5 was a replay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I played that when it first released. I think it was September 15th, I want to say, 2013. I was in a house with 3 other guys. We rented the house out. I was working at the time full-time as a project manager for some train stations. And I took the day off to play GTA. I had ordered that. And I played it, you know what, I'm going to commit some blasphemy here, on an Xbox 360.
Hey, gaming's gaming. Like,
Gaming's
we're
gaming.
a PlayStation-centric podcast, but we're not against people gaming. I've got a ROG Ally. I've got a Nintendo Switch. I play Xbox games on the ROG Ally. Like, we focus on PlayStation on the podcast because it's the subject matter that we've got the most experience in and what we want to talk about. But it's not like we're adverse to anybody playing on any other platform. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pre-ordering that Switch, but I digress. Let's.
I've already got my pre-order in.
Yeah, you've got a pre-order of a pre-order, which I think is blowing my mind.
Hey, it's how I got my PS5 on launch day when all the scalpers were going for it. So I knew it was going to work. Like, huge shout out to Shop2 here in the UK with their pre-order situations for consoles and launch day stuff. They do a bang up job of making sure actual real humans get the stuff.
Well, let's talk about the newest addition to the PlayStation family, the PlayStation Pro. So Sony has quietly been improving the PSSR precision. So their PSSR, their frame rate, and their image generation. So the new PSSR is more accurate and responsive than the old one. This will make PS5 look even better, and it's showing that they are upgrading it. So that is good to see. I thought this would happen, and I think this is going to be the future. They are upgrading their consoles with this software aspect to it, and what can happen with software? It can be upgraded. So instantly and very quickly, we're seeing upgrades to the PS5 Pro. So this is great news. I think even later on, this console will be able to test the times of the generation due to the PSSR. I think it's given it some legs. So I look forward to seeing how far this new generation of consoles allows it to be able to be taken.
Yeah, it's impressive stuff. It's great work that Sony are putting in with AMD to bring this technology up to snuff to make it better for people who've bought into the most expensive console that's ever been made. I should hope it works and that they're paying attention to it at that point. Yeah. But it's also good to see. I've been experiencing frame generation and AI upscaling on the Ally with AMD's Z1 Extreme processor in it. And from what I'm seeing with the PSSR, it's similar to what AMD use with FSR, which is their super resolution and frame generation. That for the PC side of things, it has to be built into games. But they've also got an option on there called fluid motion frames and something super resolution. I can't remember the exact terminology and wording. It's very, very impressive tech, and it takes something that can be underpowered or has an issue in one area. So for PlayStation, pushing both graphics and frame rates at the same time, and takes a little bit of load off. So it renders it at, say, a higher resolution and knocks it down, or a lower resolution and brings it up, adds some frames in rather than trying to create those frames. It's some magic wizardry that works generally really, really well. And as long as they don't start to try and push it to the NVIDIA levels of frame generation that we're seeing with these new 50 series cards, where they're trying to input 4 frames for every 1 real frame created, and they're only trying to input 1, maybe 2, I think we can see a really good console lifespan for this. It might extend the PlayStation 5 lifespan beyond the usual sort of 7 or 8 years. We might see a 10-year console lifespan that doesn't feel bottlenecked because of PSSR. The downside to that is if you're on a base level PlayStation 5 of either the slim or original launch models, you are going to face challenges with that because you're just trying to do raw horsepower on those things. And unless they bring this software down to the base models, we're still going to see bottlenecks on the generation as a whole. But for those with a PS5 Pro, there's a lot of longevity going on there. And it seems like the investment may end up being worth it despite our protestations to the cost of it previously.
Well, the footnotes of this article are the fact that Star Wars Jedi Survivor received a PS5 Pro update, quote unquote, to match the latest PSSR version. So that is the clue that allowed people to see that Sony is improving the PSSR at quite a relatively fast rate. So I just wanted to drop that in there. And well, let's move on to some not so great news I have next here on the roster. Sony cancels 2 more PlayStation projects in a broader retreat. And it's a little bit unfortunate, but we have 2 games out of Bend Studios in Oregon and out of Blue Point in Texas. So both live service games have been reportedly discontinued, and now those studios will be working on other things. Kind of sad because we haven't really seen anything from Bend in a long time, and kind of sucks if they have to start all over again. And Blue Point obviously hasn't done very much since their previous thing. So, a little bit frustrating. But my theory on this is, since we've had this CEO transition, there's obviously different directions in the future of PlayStation, and somebody got a hold of the marketing place and said live service is not the way to go. So hopefully that's what this is all reflecting, and they're changing to more of those experiences that bring emotions and excitement and innovate on gameplay.
That's the hope. In the immediate aftermath, we are getting less games from PlayStation first-party studios over the course of this generation. Bend have been working on... Are Bend the ones who are doing the God of War multiplayer game, live service game?
Yeah, that's what it was rumored to be. Yeah, God of War live service, something crazy like that.
So I have so many issues with all of those words coming together in a singular sentence. Like, just shoot me now sort of thing is how I feel about that one. It's terrible. God of War has built its reputation on being an excellent single-player, narratively driven experience. They've had multiplayer before, and it was a very good multiplayer in God of War Ascension. I actually really enjoyed that and do miss playing that, but that was a one-off, not a permanent, everlasting thing. And I think what we're seeing is the heads of PlayStation Studios recognizing the folly of their ways, because Herman Hulst was in position and was greenlighting a lot of these projects before Jim Ryan retired. So he has a lot of um, experience and a lot to answer for in pushing so many live service games onto PlayStation. Some of them could work beautifully. I do think Fair Games could be really good. I want Fair Games to be really good when that comes. The studio making it have made some of my favorite experiences in the past, and I hope they just bring that quality to the new title. And if that takes off, if that hits the right audience, similar to what Helldivers 2 did last year, we could see a really good little bit of a cash cow type idea for Sony and the rest of the PlayStation studios. But when you see flop after flop, and when you see cancelled project after cancelled project, because it's not taking shape, it's not making what they think will be good, it's a lot of wasted time for these studios, which then, of course, puts them at risk. As you say, Bend have not released anything since Days Gone, and that was a 2018 game. So we are now 7 years later, and they've not released a new title. At some point, they need an influx of money. They need to release a game to get some money coming in, because I don't know about you, but I can't go 7 years without getting a paycheck. So I can't imagine a studio can do similar. Blue Point, they are the masters of the remake and the upgrade. I'm a bit disappointed that their game isn't going to come out. I wanted to see what their quality was on it. But again, if it's a live service game, you're asking a lot of buy-in on that. And we are seeing, even with the like encumbered masters of the live service title, just player drop-off to extreme degrees. We're seeing Destiny 2 with like sub 20,000 players on Steam, for example. We're seeing Apex be talked about, like, is that still running? We're seeing World of Warcraft doing more and more to try and drag people back in, get them to put their subscriptions back in place, because people are just walking away. They've had enough, they've had their fill, and there's a lot of folk walking back to these experiences that PlayStation were really, really good at creating in the last generation. And maybe Herman Holst has started to see that and has started to realize, let's put our expertise where our expertise are and make these games that people want. Okay, we're going to have a bigger wait. We know we're going to have a bigger wait from a lot of these studios, and I hope that they don't close down. I hope they don't go the same way that the Concord studio did. But worrying times that these things have been cancelled and there isn't money coming into these studios, but positive on the front of maybe the leadership is finally realizing that PlayStation gamers don't want live service. We want narrative-driven experiences. It can be in any genre you want, but give us a strong, narratively driven experience.
Absolutely, but if you're worried about Bend Studios, they put out a public statement letting everyone know Days Gone Development says it still plans to create cool shit for the PS5 after the live service cancellation. So, just in case you were worried, that Bend Studio did put out an announcement saying they're making cool shit. So, that's what it is, believe it or not. I hope they have something in their back pocket ready to go, because it like you said, 7 years. Moving on,
They've got the fallback of Siphon Filter if needs be. They could always knock out a quick Siphon Filter, like mini game similar to the size of Miles Morales. There's stuff that these guys can do in quick turnarounds. Maybe even, as Jem is saying, remaster Days Gone now that it's got that bit of a cult following. So there's options.
Yeah,
options.
It needs a PS5 version, but it would just feel empty. I don't know, but
hey, something Shuhei Yoshida said recently, and I know we're probably going to talk about Shuhei at some point today because he had this massive interview with Kinda Funny Games. But he said, if you want new games from these companies, buy into the remasters, because that is how they fund the new games. So if people want more Days Gone, buy a remaster of Days Gone if they do it. That's how these things are going to get made.
Yeah. Well, let's go over. So there was an announcement made that there was going to be, in 2022, Sony announced it had 12 live service projects in the hopper. Well, I have a bit of a summary here on where we are with those 12 games. So we have Last of Us multiplayer canceled in December. We have Marvel's Spider-Man: The Great Web canceled in 2023. We have London Studios' live service game closed up in February 2024. Twisted Metal was also canceled in 2024. Helldivers 2, the only shining light in their portfolio, was released in 2024. Payback from Project Bungie also canceled. Concord, I don't need to say anymore. That thing was a train wreck. Ben Studios canceled. Bluepoint canceled. Just talk about that. Fair Games, the Canadian live service, Jade Raymond, almost was a Stadia game. I hope this does well. It was announced in 2023. We haven't heard very much from it. My fingers are crossed that it does come out and it does do something different. So there's still that to hope for, but let's face it. Marathon, announced in 2023, still in production, and the Horizon Online game, which is rumored to be canceled, but now it's rumored to not be canceled. So there's that. That's where we're at. I think they've had multiple 9 cancellations here, with like 3 projects maybe still happening, 4. So crazy times of this 12 live service project. It just seems to have crashed and burned, in my opinion.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This is how things get made. It's how movies get made. It's how television shows get made. Hell, it's how my YouTube videos get made. I will start ideas. I will start writing a script, film some footage, not like what I'm doing and completely scrap it, start something new. And that's how a lot of creativity happens. I think the problem with this is that Jim Ryan and PlayStation as a whole announced that there were 12 live service games coming before 2025. And they announced this in 2022. So in 3 years, we would get 12 live service games. As anybody who has jumped on the bandwagon of a live service game, who has played one for an extended period, you only really have space in your life as a player for one live service game. Mine has, for the past decade, been Destiny. That has been my live service game. I've dipped into Fortnite. I've tried Apex Legends. I've tried Call of Duty Warzone. But I don't have the time of day to put the effort in to get the equipment, to get the skills, to get good at that, whilst also playing the one that actually matters to me, that actually entices me in. And it's the same for players of any of these live service games. You ask a Warframe player who's been playing it since the launch of PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, what other live service games they've played. They haven't. They've played Warframe. That's it. So to put 12 of these out in the space of 3 years was always going to be a massive challenge. To have 12 ideas bouncing around internally, to have these start to get built out, storyboarded, concepted, and what have you, not a bad thing. It's how creativity happens, and it's how some of the best games that we have now actually started life. They started as something completely different. The problem was it was announced to the public that this is what's happening. And it was obvious to anybody with a small modicum of common sense or half an eye on the industry as a whole that you can't have 12 live service games and all of them be successful. You'd be lucky if one of them is. They've had Helldivers, which is great. Helldivers is still going strong. It's still pulling people in, pulling people back in on a regular basis. Even if people haven't continued to play it after purchasing it and putting 20, 30 hours in, they've still bought the game. They've got the money for it. This is just a state of mismanagement, and I think it's showing the mismanagement that was going on in 2022. Why that was happening, how that was happening, especially after the success of the decade prior, is anybody's guess. I don't have any inside information to explain that one. But yeah, it's a sad state of affairs because we are in a situation where 9 of these games have been cancelled. 2 or 3 of the studios have been closed, and we are no closer to getting games from many more of the studios on this list. So yeah, sad times for PlayStation Studios, but hopefully the change of tack will be much better for the future of PlayStation and us players.
I mean, on a time schedule where you, as a company, release 4 games a year, 1 per quarter, losing 8 games is a big hit. So, I just
It's
feel
2
like
years of content gone. Yeah.
feel like our portfolio suffered as PlayStation 5 gamers here a bit. But like you said, new CEO direction. We can only move forward. So let's get these studios creating some good stuff again.
Heck yeah. Let's move on
And
and forget the live service shenanigans.
yes, live service is not live anymore. It is dead. Horizon and Death Stranding. Yes, that's right. The Decima engine that you've grown to love and be lost in is could be used by other PlayStation Studio games in the future. No, duh. That shit's amazing. Put that everywhere. Oh my god, those engines look fantastic. Every time I open up Horizon, it's like the photo mode is unbelievable. It's 100% those engines are where gaming is at. Yeah, I say if they're going to use it everywhere and anywhere, hopefully this speeds up development, especially I know some studios need a bit of a boost to get them on a faster timeline. Go for it, do this.
I think it has its pros and cons, as we've seen with other publishing houses forcing a singular engine upon their developers. The pros are everybody within PlayStation Studios using the same engine, meaning if a studio needs help getting a game across the line, getting it released on time, another studio can jump in and help them, lend assistance. They've got the knowledge, they've got the expertise, and if they're pulling in contractors, they can pull in contractors who've worked on Decima before and easily utilize them to help deliver a finished quality experience on the timeline that they promise. That's a big pro. And we've seen that work elsewhere. But at the same time, it can go the other way. If you try and force Naughty Dog, for example, to use the Decima engine when they use their own, I don't know what it's called, but they've got their own bespoke in house engine that they have utilized since the Uncharted era, are they going to be able to produce and deliver the experiences that Naughty Dog are known for producing and delivering if they've got to learn a new engine and be limited by what that engine does? It's a bit of six of one, half a dozen of the other. We saw it when EA tried to force the Frostbite engine on everyone. It absolutely destroyed playability in FIFA when FIFA had to move to a Frostbite engine. But EA forced that on everybody. All of the studios worked on the same engine, which was built for Battlefield, I believe. And then it hit franchises hard. It ended some franchises because they couldn't build the same experience on that new engine. But fast forward 10 years, and everybody under EA using that same engine has led to some excellent experiences being released, some Game of the Year experiences being released. And they've been able to get assistance from other studios under the EA publishing umbrella. So I like the Decima engine. I think it plays really well. I think it's incredibly well optimized a lot of the time, especially when you put it in the hands of someone like Kojima, who is hyper vigilant on optimization and getting the best out of the tools at his disposal. But I don't know if it's the right move for every single PlayStation studio because it would change the feel of franchises and the delivery of the games.
I hear what you're saying. I see what you're saying. But I like the engine. I think it has a good place. And when it can be used, I definitely say go for it, use it. But let's jump to the next one. We've got some stories and some time. But what is this? Sony patents a new gun accessory, which I think is kind of insane. Like, how is this little space between your buttons your new crosshair? The patent turns your PS5 controller into a light gun. Yes, I'm talking Duck Hunt. Pretty nifty little thing that they're doing. I like that it's kind of different. If I was able to use this type of thing, I would hope it would be more for VR. Or give me Duck Hunt. I don't even know. It's kind of I don't even know if they're trolling me or if this is real. It's just hey, if they do it, it'd be cool immersion. I love to see this DualSense kind of evolve. I think it's one of the best controllers. The haptic experience, the ergonomics, I really do enjoy it. And adding this little gun tool to your joystick, it's neat. It could be very gimmicky. I think it would work best with VR. What do you think about it?
It's a weird pattern. I think sometimes these places report on news that maybe doesn't need to be reported on. Like Nintendo patented about 7 different models of the Switch 2. One had a folding open double screen, one had a triple screen setup. There was one that was just a much bigger slab of a tablet at like 11 inches of screen diameter. There was so many different versions of it, and everybody was reporting on all of these. So you had so many different people saying, well, this is what the Switch 2 is going to be, this is what the Switch 2 is going to be. And when it came out, it was the most boring version of all of them, just a bigger version of what the Switch was. I think something like this, we need to approach that with the same sort of knowledge that we now have about patents. These companies will patent everything, anything and everything. If they have an idea that could be useful at some point in the future, they will patent it. And it's their right to do so. It's up to them what they patent, and whether they use it or not is also up to them. But this doesn't seem like it has much use to me. You are not going to be using a DualSense itself in VR, for example. You've got your DualSense, you've got your Sense controllers on your hands. What you would want is something to connect the two together to feel like a gun, have a solid brick in front of you, because otherwise you're just wandering around and your trigger finger could be over here, but your barrel's over here somewhere, and it just ends up a bit weird. So you're not going to be using a DualSense like this in VR. I don't see how this is going to work as a light gun because there are no cathodes and such inside your television anymore, especially if you're playing on a 4K OLED television. So you're going to have an additional accessory on the TV itself and so on and so forth. I think this is an idea that they're putting forward for future possible endeavors. And because they've had the idea in house, they're going to throw a patent up and make sure that nobody else can do it before them, if at all.
Well, yeah, I felt the same way. It felt odd, but I guess it's just some people in a room with some ideas, and they're like, let's patent it in case somebody else does it. So there it is. It's out there in the world. You're not allowed to make it. Coming up next, Resident Evil 6 appears set for a PS5 port. A new age rating has been spotted. Here's my notes. It says mini rant because Resident Evil 6 is the worst. Oh my god, it is the worst game. Okay, I loved Resident Evil 5, and they came from a co op experience where it was you and the other player, and you guys worked together, and you were both equal, and you could both grab guns, do whatever. You were equal partners in the survival. In Resident Evil 6, you get you and you get somebody who you need to carry around because they are useless. Oh my gosh, I'm getting a call right now. And this is a call that is a big one. So, I'm gonna let you carry on. Resident Evil sucks.
Resident Evil 6 has not
Hey.
aged well. It's a weird situation seeing it rated for PS4, but they're going through the remakes. They're going through all of them. I can't remember what number we are up to at this moment in time that they are remaking. 6 is one of those ones that could really utilize and benefit from the remake treatment. They could change the mechanics, they could change the story appropriately, as they've done with other ones. They could make sure that one, you can move while shooting. I mean, why did we have to stand perfectly still in this game? And as you say, why did we have to carry people through it rather than this AI being helpful and useful? It's obviously going to be coming at some point. Like I say, I don't know what number of remakes we're up to. This could benefit a lot from it. And I don't know what they're going to do once they've remade it because they're then up to date. They're not going to remake 7 at this point. It's fully playable in 4K 60 FPS on current gen hardware. But yeah, it's one of those games that could really benefit from a remake. So I'm not surprised. I hope it's the remake treatment that they're giving it and not just a re-release on new platforms. Because as you say, people were very disappointed with that particular release. And yeah, I'm trying to fill some dead air whilst you're not sat there. So let's have a chat to chat, shall we? See if anybody's saying anything on anything. This wasn't that big a topic for you to run off on me with. Like, come on, man, come on. So, Jem laughing at the whole patent for the gun controller. I always hold my controller like that when I move around the house. It is a bit ridiculous what they've patented, and I can't see it being comfortable either. I don't have a controller nearby, so I can't just grab one, but I can't see holding one side of it when all of the weight is evenly distributed. It's going to be good for the hand or anything. So that one's very interesting. Rudix has changed the screen on me, so we can move forward and look at that. Code Violet takes aim at dinosaur horror in June on PS5. I have not heard of this. I do not know what it is. It's very interesting that we're suddenly getting a bunch of games coming in the dinosaur horror genre. It's we went so long. We had Dino Crisis and we had Turok way back on the PlayStation 1. And we went so long with absolutely nothing being either an actual successor or a spiritual successor to those games. And now suddenly we've got a new Dino Crisis coming. We've had Exo Primal in more recent years. We've got this new one coming up. It's a very strange situation that they've suddenly had a resurgence. I don't know where it's come from. I'm very glad that it has. I hope they are all quality so it breeds some competition in the space as well. I just fear that a couple of them are going to be quick cash-ins because they've seen the hype around other ones. But we're at a point where some of these games take like 4 or 5 years to be made. So it might just be coincidence that everybody sort of thought at the same time, oh, we haven't had one of these in a while. Let's go make them. And they've done so. So yeah, it's been a bit weird. We'll see. But moving on. I don't know what page we're on now. Let's have a look at chat again. So Jem, back on the controller thing. I've been doing it since the PS3 days. Pretend I was shooting people in my house. It was so much easier with a PS3 controller. You're back! Huzzah!
I'm back.
Save
Sorry
me from
about
myself.
that. Sorry about that. Where are we now? I guess I may have to head out. So let's quickly glance over. Do you hear about this Code of Violet, that dinosaur game? Remember Sun and Bones?
We've just been over that one while she brought it up on screen.
No, okay.
Don't know much
I thought
about it, but hey.
So the story I wanted to bring up here was that the developers for Code Violet came out and said there will be no PC release due to the modding community. Yes, they did not want the modding community to turn their characters into ungodly things, so they said, nope, we're just going to do a PS5 release. Well, thought that was an interesting comment to come out and say.
Kind of get it when you look at Final Fantasy and what they've had recently with mods going on those games and what's going to happen with Rebirth, especially in the swimsuit section. I kind of get developers going, not a chance, you're not touching our game and doing that to it because you're a disgusting community.
Wait a second. What are you talking about? Should I Google that?
Not
Final
on stream.
Fantasy mods.
Not on stream.
All right then. Well, let's check out the next one. So we have this guy Yoshida was on a podcast you were talking about. And he was saying, yes, he believes that apparently video gaming is like a fundraising situation where people have to buy remasters to fund the first party games, but I'm confused because I thought the first party games funded the next first party games. But you explained to me that aspect because I'm confused why I have to buy a remaster to pay for a full game.
If you look at the cost of video games now, actually making a video game, look at GTA 6. How much does that cost? The rumors are it's around $1 billion. They are not going to make that back from selling GTA 6. They have made that money well, Take-Two has given them that money. They haven't made that money from selling Grand Theft Auto 5. It's from other sources that they've made that money. So the microtransactions in the multiplayer have done a lot of the heavy lifting for Rockstar and for GTA 6. When you've got a single player experience, like say The Last of Us Part 2, whilst that sells 10 million, 12 million copies, it sold within its first 12 months, which is huge. That just about makes back the development costs of previous gen titles. Because don't forget, The Last of Us Part 2 is a previous gen release. It's a PlayStation 4 game. It's a similar thing with the original Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man on the PS4. It sold really, really well, 15 million copies within its first 12 months on the market. But again, it just sort of made back its development costs because these things take so long to make. You've got wages over multiple years rather than just 9 months like you do with, say, a movie. So you've got wages over 4 or 5 years. These guys are paid appropriately for what they do. So it's in the region of $80,000 a year that these guys are paid. Over the course of 5 years, your wage bill is astronomical, let alone the actual overhead costs, marketing costs, and all that. So you're in a position where, especially with games like Spider-Man 2 costing $300 million to make, just buying the previous game doesn't necessarily fund the next game. Now, some of that's going to be on the developer. They need to change their processes, their policies, the way that they're going about things. So can off ray tracing, for example, just go with the old school rasterization. It literally looks no different to most people anyway, other than you're suddenly losing frames if you're turning ray tracing on. There's things that they can do in terms of pulling back on the hyperrealism, but some of it is just going to be changing costs. In 2022, we saw the costs increase worldwide for just surviving by 20% across everything that you need to buy. Everything got 20% more expensive. So if you had as an individual, a £1,500 monthly bill going out, after that 20% increase, it's suddenly £1,800. You've got to randomly find 300 quid from somewhere to be able to pay for the same things next month that you paid for the month before. And the video game industry has not been free of such a thing. And an easy way to get more money back in is release a remaster, fresh coat of paint, more frames, a few new technologies. And many of them have put new modes in there as well. So it's not like it's just the same experience, but prettier. They've added new stuff in. And we're in a situation where if you want Sony first-party games at this moment in time, until they sort their stuff out and can actually develop properly with new technologies and such, you might need to buy the remasters if you want new games from them as well, just because at this moment in time, making games is astronomically expensive.
Well, there you have it. Let's jump into the next one. We have the state of play. So this one is rumored for February. Some people reached out to Nate the Hate, which is a known leaker, leaked some stuff about the Switch 2 recently, which did turn out to be true. So here he is again talking about how's February sound for a state of play. Exciting news. I definitely hope that that is the situation. Would love to see where they're at on some of these games. Definitely owe us some sort of lineup, because I'm not even too sure on what to expect out of this year for PlayStation.
Yeah, I think the only definite confirmations we've got is we're getting Ghost of Yotei in 2025 and we're getting Death Stranding 2 in 2025 from PlayStation Studios. Outside of that, and obviously the games that are releasing in this first quarter of the year that we know about and are coming, maybe not Assassin's Creed Shadows, but that might get delayed 6 more months yet. We'll see. It's the right sort of time for it. It was October or November, the last state of play that we had, that absolutely knocked it out the park, I must say. Like, that was a great state of play, but we need more updates. We need more information. We haven't heard anything in a while. We haven't had a huge blow you out of the water showcase for over a year now. We're pushing 18 months at this point when it comes to February. So they need to give us something. They need to give us a little taster, little bite, just to keep the palate wetted and appetited. And February, they've had one for the last 3 or 4 years in February, so it would make sense that they're going to have another one. But what's going to be in it, we'll find out closer to.
Well, I'll keep my expectations low. So I definitely think we'll get a Wolverine release date for holiday 2025. Ghost of Yotai will be releasing in the summer. And then we'll get a Tenchu Z remake. That will be coming to PlayStation as an exclusive now with the FromSoft partnership. We'll see more on Night Rain. Fair play games, we are definitely going to see that as an October release this year. And I think that's how they'll play out. So hopefully more things.
Is this your low expectations? Like
yeah, but it's low expectations.
Is your low expectations?
Yeah, low expectations there.
That's that would be most people's dream expectations, and that's what you're going in with low expectations. Fair enough, we know where you stand on this.
Yeah, I would love to see it. See, that's what I want. I want remakes from a time where games need the remake. Like, give me a Tenchu remake. I mean, that game was lost in generations ago, unplayable now. So, just don't give me stuff that's like Days Gone 2018. I mean, it looks fantastic. You can boot it up right now on the PS5. It looks great. It doesn't need a remake. I'm just saying. You even have it on PC up. I don't get some of these remakes. I think you need to reach further back in time. You have a great catalog of games. Remake those. Just saying.
We know you prefer a DLC to a full game anyway, mate. So don't worry about it.
Anything From Software makes, it's like just put it on a platter and let me gorge because it is a feast for me.
Fair enough.
Well, that's the show this week. See, I had this big article. I don't know if you read it here in the show notes, but somebody told me that it was a whole false thing, so I don't even know to go over it anymore. But
which article's that one?
the paywalled article about Microsoft's games business falls short. It talked about the idea of subscription passes and the experiments that the green guys have done over there, and the fact that they need 100 million by 2030 for this experiment to work, in terms of buying Activision and spending that much money. However, they still need a long way to go to reach that number. But subscriptions have fallen since COVID-19 days in 2020. So to reach even like double where it is now is going to be a tall order, especially if the first Call of Duty release didn't do it.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of hearsay in such an article because unless you're on, say, the board or in one of those earnings calls for the likes of Microsoft, and the same will hold true for PlayStation, the same will hold true for Nintendo and anywhere else that's got any of these subscription services. Unless you are a fly on the wall or part of the conversation, it's hearsay and possibility. What you're saying does not surprise me in the slightest. I've always said the subscription service model can't work because, as we've seen, if you put everything on that subscription model, I played Indiana Jones last month. Indiana Jones is a £70 game. I didn't pay for it because I got a free 3-month ticket for Game Pass. So I got to play that game completely free of charge. I didn't pay a penny for it. I've been able to play a bunch of other games completely free of charge over the last month and a half because I got that free Game Pass ticket for 3 months. So I can understand it. And even if I were paying for it, it's £14 as opposed to £70. Like, you're not getting the same sort of revenue. I think what a lot of these companies were hoping with subscription fees is that we pay them and forget about them. But because the world has got so expensive, because we saw that 20% increase in just the cost of existing in 2022, people are being a lot more sensible with their money. They're being a lot more frugal with their money, and things that maybe they would have forgotten about previously, like Game Pass, especially when it was half or a third of the price of what it is now, they can't forget about anymore, because that's the difference between putting food on the table or not, sort of thing. So I don't know how much truth is in this article. If the figures are correct, it wouldn't even surprise me with what they've spent and what they would need to make for the experiment to actually be classified as a success. But we will need to wait and see more on that in the future and actual real figures on it. Because if it's true for Big Green over the other side of the fence, it's going to be true for the blue over this side of the fence as well. So, very interesting one to keep an eye on.
Awesome stuff. Great show. Glad we got in an episode this week. I know it was a little rocky. I know I got that phone call there, but I appreciate everyone coming out here in the chat, hanging out with us as we're chatting PlayStation. Let's switch over to the side-by-side there. Ooh, a little bit more intimate now. So yeah, just want to give a big shout out.
Cozy.
Yes. Shout out to everybody here in chat. Thanks for hanging out with us. We've got plenty of stuff. We're also content creators. Both our channels are linked in the description below, because I did that during the show because I'm sneaky ninja like, Tenchu remake like. But let's give a shout out, Dorgon. What do you got going on your channel?
I'm currently in the midst of filming a new video. It's all scripted, the voiceover's recorded. I just need all of the footage now, so I'm recording A and B roll for that at the moment. Probably another week and a half, 2 weeks away from getting that one out. In the meantime, there's a short talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. There is a review of Indiana Jones and The Great Circle. And of course, there's a plethora of other content from previous years on there. Some of it is still very relevant, some of it as a snapshot of a period in time. Any viewership, any support would be greatly appreciated. Channel memberships are live, and if you do join the channel over on my personal one, you get 24 hours early access to all of my long-form content, and massive thanks from me at the end of every single video that I make.
Awesome.
Now, what about you,
stuff.
my man?
I am.
You're running out. Are we seeing family game night and such this week? Or
yes, definitely seeing family game night. Unless, oh my gosh, it's so cold. I was gonna go out and do stuff today, but I think it's just too cold to do that. So definitely family game night. We got the download tomorrow, so we're gonna be covering the Xbox Developers Direct. If I even have time. I got a beam coming in tomorrow, so we'll see. And then not to mention a Marvel Rivals stream happening here on Cloud&Console, so we're looking for teammates to jump on in and get up to some mayhem. Yep, that's right. Nads will be hosting. We're looking for the dates, so stay tuned to socials and Discord and stuff. We're bringing out the shout-outs, so we'll be doing that and having fun as well. So look forward to all that and more. Like, subscribe. And we'll see you next week for more PlayStation. Take care, everybody.
Later, guys. Take care. Bye.
Just to be the me. Oh, finds hype super decently smooth. Nice type, but as sick as